My wife never goes home with me for Christmas. This year, my mom was sick. I want to take her back to see her. That little town of yours is a backwoods hellhole full of trailer trash, she said. I'm not going. I didn't push it. But the condo was bought and paid for by my mom. Bringing her here for the holidays shouldn't be a problem, right? Then my wife, Vanessa, said, if your mom comes, where are my parents supposed to stay? I started packing a suitcase to go home by myself. She blocked the door. If you dare leave, I'll get rid of this baby. I didn't believe her. There was no way I was going to be kept from my own mother at Christmas. Not only did I see my mother, but I also came back in a sports car and married the woman my ex-wife called trailer trash. I met my wife, Vanessa, at work in Charlotte. To marry her, my mom cashed out $200,000 of her savings to buy a condo for us, fully paid off. Ever since we finished renovating, my mom hadn't spent a single night there. In fact, in the 3 years we'd been married, Vanessa had never once visited my hometown. A few weeks ago, my mom got really sick, and I wanted to use the Christmas holiday to go see her. Before I could even finish my sentence, Vanessa shot me down. Just forget it. Your hometown is a backwoods hellhole full of trash. My least favorite coworker is from there, and it just makes my skin crawl thinking about it. I'm not going. The place where I grew up was that disgusting in her eyes. Fine. If she didn't want to go, I wouldn't force her. Since my dad passed, Mom doesn't have anyone looking out for her. Let's just bring her here for the holidays. Impossible. Don't even think about it. Vanessa cut me off. This was a condo my mom bought in full, and I paid for the renovations. How was my mom staying for a few days, some kind of fantasy? Realizing she'd misstepped, Vanessa tried to walk it back. My parents are here helping me through the pregnancy. There's no room for your mom. They can share a room. My mom can take the small guest bedroom. No way. My dad snores. They won't get any sleep if they're in the same room. A bitter feeling rose in my chest. My mom buys the condo, and her parents each get their own room, mooching off us, eating our food, and ordering me around to do chores. My own mother had never enjoyed a single day of this. Vanessa was pregnant, so I decided to let it go and just booked a flight home for myself. But of course, that wasn't okay either. I'm pregnant, and you're just going to leave me? If you dare go, I'll get rid of the baby. I just didn't get it. It was Christmas. Was I not allowed to see my own mother? We had a huge fight. When she got up to use the bathroom, I saw a dark red stain on the bedsheets. The metallic smell of blood hit me. I panicked, thinking I'd stressed her into a miscarriage. I followed her to the bathroom, but I stopped when I heard her and my mother-in-law talking inside. You got your period again? You're still not pregnant. Stunned, I heard Vanessa reply, do you think the surgery for the ectopic pregnancy messed something up? Ectopic pregnancy? Vanessa had told me this was her first pregnancy. I leaned against the doorframe, my body feeling light and unreal. Don't you dare let Ethan find out about this, her mom warned. He'd divorce you in a heartbeat. Vanessa just clicked her tongue. Damn it, I leaked. I hope it didn't get on the bed. Go check, hurry. I heard the toilet flush and quickly walked away from the door and out of the condo. I sent Vanessa a text saying something came up and I had to step out, giving them plenty of time to deal with the sheets. The winter wind was sharp, but not as cold as the ice in my heart. I had given everything for Vanessa, and she was playing me for a fool. What the hell were the three of them plotting behind my back? I went to a spy shop and bought a listening device. It didn't take long to find out their plan. I can't keep this up much longer, I heard Vanessa complaining. Why isn't that old hag dead yet? She's been sick for so long. A sharp pain went through my chest. The daughter-in-law my mother had tried so hard to please hated her that much. My mother-in-law spoke up. I think Ethan's getting suspicious. Maybe you should just go home with him for the holiday, just to keep him calm. No, what if seeing us makes the old hag so happy she actually gets better? I clenched my fists. Vanessa, you really want my mother to die. So what's the plan? That was my father-in-law's voice. Vanessa laughed. As soon as the old witch dies, I'll pretend I had a miscarriage from the grief. Ethan will feel so bad for me that the condo, the money, it'll all be mine. And he'll spend the rest of his life as our family's personal butler. My father-in-law clapped. Great idea. I've spent my whole life in that hick town. To finally get a place in the city in my old age, with someone to take care of us, this marriage was worth every penny. Of course it was, her mom added. Remember when Vanessa almost married that punk? Thank God we ran into Ethan at the hospital. Our retirement is set. It was like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. Back when my dad had his car accident, Vanessa was a nurse at the hospital. She saw the insurance adjuster show up, saw the payout. Her helping me with all the paperwork. It was all calculated from the very beginning. They wanted to bleed me dry. Well, I was going to make sure they choked on it. I didn't cancel my flight home. With a week to go before Christmas, I bought a few more tickets to Miami. When I told Vanessa I was taking her and her parents on a Christmas vacation to Miami, she was ecstatic. The three of them paraded around like peacocks, making sure everyone knew they were heading to Florida. At the resort hotel, my normally frugal father-in-law insisted on getting his own room. Vanessa tried to talk him out of it. "Dad, Ethan doesn't mind your snoring. You two can share." He refused. Vanessa pulled him aside. "Dad, the money we save is ours." Only then did he agree. But that night, my father-in-law wasn't snoring. Instead, he snuck out of the room. Curious, I followed him. The light from his phone illuminated his face as he walked down a small alley next to the hotel, stopping in front of an adult novelty store. He went inside, grinning from ear to ear. I froze. The old man had more game than I did. I pretended to be asleep when he came back, listening to him grunting and straining on the other bed. So that's why he wanted his own room. The next day, I tested him, saying I had to go out for the night. Not only did he not ask why, he promised to cover for me with Vanessa. He couldn't wait to have the room to himself. I hid in the hotel hallway and watched as a woman in a miniskirt knocked on our door. He was old, but he was living large. I found a 24-hour internet cafe and crashed there for the night. By morning, my father-in-law was done, and the room was a complete mess. There was even a rope hanging from the ceiling fan. At lunch, he was still riding the high. He ordered a lobster, a king crab, and a dozen jumbo shrimp. "Dad, that's going to cost a fortune," Vanessa said, worried about the bill. "It's fine," I chimed in. "At this resort, all the food is included." "Really?" Seeing me nod, Vanessa and her mother grabbed the menus and ordered half the page without a second thought. It was true that you could eat whatever you wanted. It's just that it all got charged to the room. Vanessa picked up a king crab leg, ready to take a bite. "Honey, pregnant women shouldn't eat shellfish." Her face fell. She hesitated, then put it down. The moment I got up to go to the restroom, she scarfed it all down. Seeing the bottomless greed of this family filled me with disgust. I looked at my plane ticket. If I didn't leave soon, I'd be late. While Vanessa was lying on a table getting a spa treatment, I told her, "Honey, I have to fly back home for a bit." She shot up, half of her face mask peeling off. "No way. My mom's not doing well. She said she has something she wants to give me." Hearing that, her eyes darted around. She must have thought my mom was on her deathbed and was about to give me my inheritance. "Okay, honey, go, but come back quick." When he heard I was leaving, my father-in-law's joy was written all over his face. I was going to miss the show he had planned for the night. I flew to Charlotte first and contacted a realtor to list the condo. That same afternoon, I arrived in my hometown. My mom's house was at the far eastern edge of the village. For Christmas, every other house had lights and wreaths, but ours just looked run down and neglected. When I pushed the door open, my mom was wrapped in a thick coat, warming herself by an old wood-burning stove. "Mom, I'm home." Hearing my voice, she immediately slipped on her shoes and came out of the room. "Ethan," I looked at her clouded, graying eyes and slapped myself hard across the face. No wonder she rarely replied to my texts. Her cataracts had gotten this bad. I fell to my knees in front of her. "Mom, your worthless son is back." Mom grabbed my arms and pulled me up. "It's good you're back. Don't say such things on Christmas." She looked behind me. "Where's Vanessa?" "I don't see her." I swallowed my emotions and helped her back to her chair. "Mom, I'm divorcing Vanessa." "What?" she said, alarmed. "Ethan, did you two have a fight?" She grabbed a nearby walking cane and tapped my leg with it. "You go right back there and make things right with her." "Mom." I dodged the cane as the front door was kicked open with a bang. "What do you think you're doing?" I looked toward the door. A slender young woman in a big winter coat was striding in with a wooden stick. She stood protectively in front of my mom, pointing the stick at me. "Who are you? Are you trying to take advantage of Mrs. Cole because she's all alone?" The girl looked familiar. I couldn't help but stare. "Pervert." She kicked me right where it counts, and I crumpled to the floor. "Ashley, that's my son. Then he deserves it even more." Ashley Snow raised the stick, about to bring it down on me. "Wait, Ashley Snow, I know you. I knew that name all too well. Vanessa complained about her at least a dozen times a day. Ashley Snow was flirting with the unit supervisor again. What a slut. That bitch Ashley Snow, she's just a nurse. Who does she think she is? Ashley Snow wore a V-neck sweater today, like she was afraid no one would see her fake boobs. Remembering that, my eyes involuntarily drifted to the curve of her chest under her tight-fitting thermal shirt. What are you looking at? Ashley clutched her coat tighter. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I extended a hand to Ashley. I'm Vanessa's husband. It's nice to meet you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I had to be nice to her. Ashley rolled her eyes dramatically. That explains it. She ignored my outstretched hand, turned around, and got the blood pressure cuff from inside, sitting next to my mom, to take a reading. Much better, Mrs. Cole. You've been recovering well. My mom smiled and nodded. I owe it all to Ashley these past few months. She's our old neighbor Linda's daughter, just back for the holidays. I thanked Ashley from the bottom of my heart and cooked a full dinner for the three of us. My mom patted Ashley's hand. This is the first time I've ever had Ethan's cooking. I have you to thank for this. I turned away to wipe a tear. Ethan, you're a real piece of work. You left your own mother in this rundown house for 3 years without a word, without ever once cooking a meal for her. And yet you were in the city, serving Vanessa's family hand and foot, doing their laundry, cooking their meals, and letting them live in a huge condo. No wonder Ashley hit me. I deserved it. I put a piece of beef on my mom's plate. Mom, I won't let you live like this anymore. I've already decided to divorce Vanessa. You don't need to worry about it. Mom sighed but didn't say anything more. Ashley, on the other hand, started clapping. Congratulations, man. Glad to see you've finally woken up. What do you mean? Ashley pursed her lips. Her and our unit supervisor? The whole hospital knows about them. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. The wife I put on a pedestal wasn't just after my money. She was cheating on me too. I couldn't go soft on this family. I checked the time. The show back in Miami should be starting. At 1 a.m, I got a call from my father-in-law. Ethan, help me. Hello. Hello. I pretended the signal was bad and hung up. I put my phone on airplane mode. The next morning, I had a flood of messages for Vanessa. Why was your phone off? My dad is missing. You have to come help us find him. Ethan, the hotel said my dad was arrested by the police. They must have the wrong person. Get over here now. Ethan, why is the hotel bill so high? You said the restaurants were free. I did a rough calculation. Their little Miami getaway probably cost over $30,000. They've been living in my home for so long. Treating them to a trip to Miami seemed only fair. I muted Vanessa's notifications. Today was Christmas Eve. Mom had already bought all the groceries, and she asked me to hang the Christmas lights. We haven't put up any lights since your dad passed. Let's make it feel festive this year. I stood on a chair while Ashley directed me from below, a little to the left. Perfect. I shifted my weight, lost my footing, and pitched forward, landing on my knees right in front of Ashley. To save face, I looked up at her and said, "No, you're perfect." Ashley burst out laughing, a genuine, joyful sound. She was nothing like Vanessa. The day I left to go back to the city, my mom pressed a bank card into my hand. It held the settlement money for my dad's death. She wanted me to use it to start my own business. I took the money and knelt, pressing my forehead to the floor. Mom, I'll be back to get you soon, and we're going to have a better life. When I got to the airport, I discovered Ashley's seat was right next to mine. She offered me a piece of sour candy, and even her words seemed to carry a sweet, fruity scent. Ashley nudged me with her elbow. Are you really going to divorce Vanessa? I nodded. There was no turning back. My car was in airport parking, so I offered Ashley a ride. We just got to the main plaza when we ran into Vanessa. She blocked my car, and when I stopped, she started banging on the window. Ethan, where the hell have you been? You don't answer your phone. You don't reply to texts. Are you trying to end this marriage? I rolled down the window. Sorry, reception is terrible in my mom's place. My phone died. I knew it. And you wanted me to go to that dump? She paused, her eyes locking on Ashley in the passenger seat. What's she doing here? Why are you two together? Ashley smiled. Because we both come from the same dump. With that, she unbuckled her seatbelt and opened the door. Thanks for the ride. I can get an Uber from here. I'll see you later. You. Ashley ignored Vanessa's shouting and disappeared into the crowd. Ethan, have I not told you that Ashley Snow is the person I hate most in this world? Why would you let her in your car? I looked at Vanessa's furious face and suddenly found it hilarious. The only reason she hated Ashley was because the supervisor she was sleeping with had a crush on Ashley. And I used to actually believe she was the slut Vanessa made her out to be. Ethan, I'm talking to you. She was in this car. I don't want it anymore. Take it or leave it. She hadn't contributed a dime to it, but had plenty of complaints. I slammed on the gas and peeled out. The condo was in total chaos. There was still no word from my father-in-law since he was taken away. When they checked out of the hotel, they were hit with a bill for over $50,000, maxing out their credit cards. Looks like they kept living it up after I left. Serves them right. My mother-in-law sat on the sofa, legs crossed. Ethan, you need to cover this. Hilarious. Why should I? Because Vanessa is your wife, and we're your elders. My mother is an elder too. Had you ever shown her an ounce of respect? For a moment, both she and Vanessa were speechless. Vanessa grabbed my arm. Honey, I didn't even get a chance to ask. How is your mom? How much is the inheritance? I shook her hand off. My mom is doing great. What inheritance? So, there's nothing? Ethan, you played me. Vanessa's finger was shaking in my face. You want a divorce? Because I will divorce you. Fine. I couldn't wait. Vanessa didn't bring it up again. The day we went back to work after the holidays, I got a text from Ashley. Vanessa got slapped by the supervisor today. You're in for a fun night when you get home. Sure enough, Vanessa came home with a swollen red cheek, a dark cloud hanging over her. Ethan, I'm telling you, I'm carrying your child. You give me the money, or I'm getting rid of it. So, she got shot down by her boss and came to me to reclaim her dignity. Don't get rid of the baby. It's a life. Seeing me take the bait, Vanessa pressed on. If you want to keep it, you can pay off the hotel bill. And you can sign the condo over to me. Sigh. I let out a long breath. I'm afraid that's not going to be possible. I lied and told Vanessa that a business investment went bust, that I was drowning in debt, and the condo had been mortgaged. In reality, I had used the money my mom gave me to invest in a startup indie game, and my investment had already multiplied several times over. Vanessa didn't believe me. She thought I was trying to protect my assets from her family. Just then, my father-in-law was brought home. I hadn't seen him in over a week, and he looked like he'd aged 20 years. My mother-in-law rushed over to him. What on earth did you do to get arrested? He shot a guilty look in my direction. It was nothing. Just said some stupid stuff online. Someone reported me. It's all sorted out now. When I left for work, I listened in on their conversation again. My mother-in-law said, Vanessa, do you think Ethan found out about the fake pregnancy? Is that why he's not giving us anything? It must have been when I leaked on sheets. He must have seen it. What are we going to do? My father-in-law said frantically. I don't care. This condo has to be mine. I don't believe for a second he can just kick us out. Vanessa was supremely confident, and she acted on it. They kicked me out of my own home, telling me I couldn't come back until I brought money and the new deed. Perfect timing. The realtor called to tell me he'd found a buyer, and I needed to vacate the property as soon as possible. I informed Vanessa, but she ignored me and told me to get lost. I called the realtor back. This might be tricky. There are people squatting there who won't leave. If you can get them out, I'll add another percentage point to your commission. The realtor happily agreed. After a phone call to them went nowhere, he showed up the next day with a crew, and I came along. Vanessa was still smug. Ethan, are you trying to win me back with some grand gesture like when you proposed? I'm telling you, bring the money and the deed, or it's not happening. I gave the realtor a look. This is the place. The realtor, a pro, kicked the door open. We're repossessing the property. Vanessa was stunned. Repossessing what? This is my house. The condo was purchased before the marriage. From inspection to the renovation, you didn't contribute a single cent. What does it have to do with you? This gentleman has sold the property. We need you to cooperate. Vanessa and her family just stared at each other, speechless. The realtor gave a signal, and his crew started packing things up. Stop! Stop it! Vanessa was frantic, chasing after them and trying to stop them, only to be pushed to the ground. My mother-in-law leaped up, tore open a plastic bag, and a pile of small adult toys scattered across the floor. The sight was shocking. Where did these come from? My mother-in-law stammered. From that room, the realtor said, pointing to where my father-in-law had been sleeping. Dad, what are you doing with these? My father-in-law was at a loss for words. I decided to pour a little more gasoline on the fire. Mom, I'd advise you and Vanessa to go get checked out at a clinic. What do you mean? Dad's been sleeping around. Vanessa and her mother completely lost interest in the condo. The three of them practically flew to the nearest hospital. With them gone, the closing went smoothly. I used the money to buy a new 2-bedroom apartment and FedEx the keys to my mom. Soon, news came for Vanessa's side. My father-in-law had tested positive for an STD. Vanessa messaged me, blaming me for taking them to Miami and saying I had to take responsibility for her family. What a joke. What does his inability to keep in his pants have to do with me? Vanessa threatened, "You want me to get rid of this baby? Is that what you want?" Hearing this, I booked them a hotel room and even had his collection of toys sent over. Vanessa stood with her arms crossed, looking down at me. "If you want this baby, you'll do as I say." I played along, adopting a pleading tone. "Honey, I'll do anything you say. Can you lend me some money?" "What are you talking about? My investment failed. I lost the condo, everything." Vanessa and her mother exchanged a look. When they still seemed skeptical, I pulled out a resignation letter. "My company already fired me. We're family. You can't just abandon me." The resignation was my own choice. I had enough capital to start my own company now. I dropped to one knee. "Honey, you still have the gift money from my mom, right? Please give it to me so I can pay off my debts." Vanessa's face turned ugly. I pressed my advantage. "And I'm telling you, any debt I have is marital debt. You have to pay it back too." "Why should we?" Vanessa took the bait. "Divorce. I want a divorce," she shrieked, her face twisted and ugly. Her mother chimed in. "Yes, a divorce right now." That's exactly what I was waiting for. It's a good thing I'd already paid someone to get us an appointment at the courthouse. The day the divorce was finalized, I took Ashley out to dinner. She ordered the spiciest Nashville hot chicken, and her face was flushed red as she ate. "I didn't think you had it in you. You really went through with it." Of course, before I could finish, I heard Vanessa's voice. "Well, Ashley, you're really not picky, are you?" "Ha ha." I looked up. Vanessa was clinging to the arm of her unit supervisor, Mark Peterson. Mark took a drag from his cigarette, a sneer on his face. "So this is your type, huh? What's it to you?" Ashley didn't even bother to look at them. But Mark was energized. He leaned one hand on our table and the other on the back of Ashley's chair, raising his eyebrows. "Does he have any money? Why don't you beg your big brother here, and I'll pay for your dinner." "Do I have money?" Right now, that's all I had. Ashley was furious and about to stand up, but I put a hand on hers to stop her. "Ashley, thank you for treating me to dinner." I turned to Vanessa. "Vanessa, for the sake of the baby, can you please lend me some money? I've hit rock bottom." "Baby? What baby?" Mark looked at Vanessa. Vanessa's mouth hung open. She couldn't form a word. After all, she'd gotten $20,000 from my mom the moment she announced she was pregnant. Mark shoved her hard on the shoulder. "Speak up. Didn't you tell me you were on your period and that I couldn't touch you?" Vanessa's face went crimson. If she said she'd gotten an abortion, Mark, as her supervisor, would be difficult to fool. Trapped and unwilling to lose Mark, her meal ticket, she had no choice but to admit she was never pregnant. That was my cue. "Then you can give me back the $20,000 my mom gave you for baby expenses." Mark was stunned. "You're not just a liar, you're a scam artist too?" "No, I'm not. Let me explain." Vanessa cried, chasing after Mark as he stormed out of the restaurant. Ashley burst out laughing. "I didn't know you were such a good actor." "I may be an actor, but one thing isn't an act." Ashley looked confused. "What's that?" "I'm grateful to you, and I want to ask you out." I looked at her seriously, and a blush slowly crept across her cheeks. Divorced and wealthy, I began to openly pursue Ashley. On National Nurses Day, I drove my new, limited edition Porsche to the hospital to pick her up after her shift. I had just reached the nurse's station when I saw Ashley, looking radiant in her white uniform. I was about to speak when another nurse recognized me. "Hey, aren't you Vanessa's broke husband?" Vanessa turned her head at the sound of her name. "Don't you dare keep bothering me." Her words died when she saw the 999 preserved roses in my hands and the Rolex on my wrist. Her expression was bizarre. I walked past Vanessa and approached Ashley. "Happy Nurses Day." The words were barely out of my mouth when Vanessa snatched the bouquet from my hands and threw it on the floor. "Ethan, it's over between us, so stop with this pathetic act. Everyone knows you're drowning in debt." The petals scattered everywhere. "What a waste." I said to Vanessa, "Those flowers cost $60,000. You're paying for them. She laughed like it was the funniest joke in the world. 60,000? Where would you get $60,000 to buy flowers? Try to trick me into getting back with you with these cheap tactics? You're killing me. Vanessa was bent over laughing. I felt sick looking at her, so I took out my phone. I don't have time for your games. Pay up, or I'm calling the police. Seeing I wasn't joking, Vanessa's smile froze. This piece of junk costs 60 grand. A nurse nearby came over to look. It actually does. It's from Venus E.T. Fleur. Vanessa was floored. She looked me up and down, as if I were a completely different person. Ethan, you're really splashing out to win me back. Did you come into some money? I dropped the act and pulled out the keys to my Porsche. Yeah, you could say that. Vanessa's eyes went wide, staring at the car key. Well, in that case, I'll have to reconsider. Vanessa pretended to think, tilting her head and squinting. I suppose I can reluctantly accept. Huh. I laughed out loud. Accept what? Vanessa's brow furrowed. Accept your proposal, of course. I shook my head, walked past her, and closed the distance to Ashley. In front of everyone, I dropped to one knee and held up the 10-carat diamond ring I had in my pocket. Ashley Snow, I'm serious about you. Will you marry me? Ashley clearly hadn't expected this. She froze. It's okay, I said quickly. You can say no, or you can think about it. I won't give up. Ashley smiled and shook her head. That won't be necessary. My heart sank, but then I heard her say, I will. Really? Ashley nodded gently. As she slid the ring onto her finger, I swept her up into my arms. The room erupted in applause. No one paid any attention to Vanessa. She was left standing there like a dirty rag. Vanessa had a complete meltdown. She spent the next 3 days trashing me on Facebook, but nobody cared. My company was thriving and money was no object. Ashley and I set our wedding date for the following spring. I bought a duplex for us, and Ashley personally designed it and hired contractors for the renovation. The house was ready just before Christmas. I brought my mom over for the holidays and took her to see the retirement condo I'd bought for her. Mom wiped away a tear. I never thought I'd see a day like this, she said. So she had known all along, even if she never said anything. Back at our new home, Ashley sat and chatted with my mom while I tied on an apron and started cooking. As I was putting Christmas dinner on the table, fireworks started going off outside. I poured the wine. A toast. We clinked our glasses together. May we be together to see this day every year, and may every year be as good as this day. Ashley looked at me and smiled gently. Every year as good as this day, and together to see this day every year. The fireworks lit up the sky, exploding in a dazzling display of color. I never knew life could be this beautiful. Epilogue. Vanessa showed up on my and Ashley's wedding day. I'd heard her family was in dire straits. Ever since her dad got his diagnosis, it was like his spirit broke. All his old meanness was gone. Her mom kept up her act for a while, bragging about how I was still madly in love with Vanessa and trying to win her back. Then the local paper ran a story about my wedding to Ashley. Her lies were exposed, and she wilted like a frosted plant. Later, someone leaked the news about her husband's illness, and soon no one from her line dancing group would even partner with her. When they went out, people would avoid them like the plague. Vanessa was fired from the hospital for property destruction and attempting to defraud my family. She wasn't idle. She dated a few guys, but they all bolted the second they heard about her family situation. So she came to my wedding, her head held high in defiance. Let me through. I'm Ethan's ex-wife. I'm sorry, miss, but you can't enter without an invitation. She didn't believe it. Get Ethan out here to see me. The security guards didn't hesitate. They picked her up and tossed her out of the hotel. Vanessa lay on the pavement, utterly stunned, as if she'd been struck by lightning. She had forgotten that we were no longer in the same world. Her entitled tantrums didn't work anymore. She was nothing, and we were just getting started.